Welcome to a new era, where the future meets the past.
Finland is not real.
Above and beyond.
Helen Keller was a fraud.
Beyond.
It's never too early for Christmas.
There's a new place.
Grandma always says you need a lemon tree.
And a new time.
Temperature isn't real.
Perhaps the right place.
Lost my penis in the early 90s.
Right place, then the right time. Discovery awaits. Right time. Right place, right time.
And more breaking news in 2023. Yep, you guessed it. Aliens are still here.
Yep, they're in Mexico.
But they're in New Mexico, or Mexico, excuse me.
Yeah.
We have photo proof. Or do we? I don't think it's real, man.
No, dude.
I don't think it's real.
What are the chances?
Paper mache
Totally.
works really well. Milk cartons.
Yeah.
Thing was like this small. And, if aliens are real, because we know they're not, I would not buy that they look just like we think they do.
That's exactly what I was going to say. What are the chances that we
There's no
finally
way.
see it and we're like, wow,
Yeah.
that's exactly what we thought.
Whoa! That's E.T.?
Yeah, that's,
I'm
wow.
pretty sure.
That's exactly what we all expected. That's
Yeah.
how you know it.
No.
If there was,
Yeah.
if
there
it's
was.
going to be something we've never comprehended.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, wow, it's like Bones, but a little different.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it's going to work.
How would you react if they showed up and one looked just like you?
I think we've been over this. I'd kill it.
No. But he was 10 feet tall. But he looked like you.
I'm going to have the reaction.
He walks up. Miles.
I'm going to have the reaction that like white girls have when they see Taylor Swift in like person. I'm just going to be like,
Okay, so like an awe, kind of.
I'd be like in awe,
Okay.
a little terrified,
A little bit terrified, yeah.
and just like,
Yeah.
in awe. I'd be in awe.
Yeah. That would be kind of trippy.
That'd be super weird.
And what if he stooped down to you and just kind of looked into your face and he just kind of chuckled and then walked away?
Dude, I would lock up in fear. I would be like frozen.
Frozen. Wait, that's a Disney reference.
It is actually.
Elsa.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Frozen 2?
No.
There's one song in Frozen 2 that goes way harder than it should. It's like a joke song too. You could tell that it wasn't serious at all.
Okay.
It's called what is it? Lost in the Woods. I'll have to show you after. It's so funny. I was watching Frozen 2 and I was like not into it, but then this came on. I was like, dude, this is hilarious and like actually a good song. It's an 80s ballad. They made an 80s ballad. It's incredible. I'll show you.
So you watched Frozen 2
I watched it whenever the hell it came out. I watched it a long time ago.
by yourself?
No, not by myself. Sad.
Just like by yourself, post it?
That would be great. The only movie I watched by myself was Joker.
Yeah, Do you remember when at the movies you had to actually go pick your seat depending on when you got there?
Yeah, it was first come, first serve.
It wasn't reserve your seat.
Yeah. You just got there early and then sat down wherever you wanted.
Today's kids will never know kind of thing.
No.
Yeah.
No, they won't.
No, they don't get it. Okay, well, there are bigger stories at play here. Now, I asked you to pick your top 5 best heroes, which I also decided that could mean just good guys.
Right.
Now, I know that somewhere in your list you're going to have some anime characters, which, again, you pick whoever you want. This is your decision. I will say, however, if you mean to tell me that some of these hentai characters are better characters with origins and backstories and stories than some of the overall objectively understood best characters like superheroes, there will be problems.
I can guarantee you.
That's not a thing. You can't guarantee.
I can guarantee you
wrong.
that some of these characters are impeccable.
I also...
Can we make a separate for like anti-heroes? Because I feel like there's so many good anti-heroes.
I would say that you could loop that with villains.
With villains.
Because I also decided it could be villain or just an antagonist who isn't necessarily a bad guy.
Right.
Via the shark from Jaws.
True.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
But we'll get to it when we get there. I'll just put them in my honorable mentions and see what you
Sure.
think where they should fit.
yeah.
Or if they fit at all.
I
Are we gonna go
It's
back and
kinda
forth?
tight.
Like you're gonna say a hero, like that sort of deal?
um
Because I think we need explanations too. Like we can't just
yeah,
say
we
it.
do, yeah.
We're gonna need to marinate on it for a second.
Yeah, yeah. I was also gonna say, just to kind of like, in the general scheme of characters and whatnot. Recently, the trailer came out today for the new Aquaman, which is the final DCEU film.
Wait,
before James Gunn's new era
a
starts.
third one?
Second one.
The second one hasn't come out?
No.
That's
It
crazy.
looks as if garbage threw up more garbage.
What did
It
you
just
expect?
looks no, and I wish I could say it looked good, but it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't. It looked kind of kiddie. It looked bad. So he's not on my list. Point being,
I never expected Aquaman to be on your list ever.
see, okay, this is the other thing, because characters or
This is such a difficult.
or movie representations. because
You
that's a
also
big thing.
said in all of fiction.
I did say in all of fiction.
In all of fiction.
Now,
Which includes shows, games, comics.
Sure.
There's so many to choose from.
Personally, how I'm gonna do this though, I'm gonna retcon it a little bit. I'm gonna base all of mine on movie portrayals.
Okay.
Everything now, like I'm not negating any history they have with
Right,
comics
right.
or books or shows or whatever.
Understandable.
I'm just saying
For
to-
yours specifically.
to help like
Yeah.
showcase it and just to help it. Like I'll still give credence to their whole story. I'm just
Yeah.
saying though, like I'll point out which one. So
I think I have one that's movie specific.
okay,
The rest of them are more like just them as an entire character.
yeah, okay,
In every sort of media.
yeah, okay.
Are we starting with
We
heroes
could
or
do
villains? Or are we going to go back and
Heroes.
forth?
No, we'll start with heroes.
heroes.
What I'll do is I'll count it down 3, 2 1 at the same time. We say the same one.
Okay. Heroes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
count it
yeah.
down.
And this is also like not necessarily in order. This
Yeah.
is just them.
This is just...
If I feel like I can figure it out by the end about which order,
Right.
then maybe. But you know,
Correct.
okay. And yeah, okay, all right.
You count it down?
3, 2, 1. Spider-Man.
Obi-Wan. I do
Yeah.
have Spider-Man on my list.
Obi-Wan was an honorable mention.
Ooh, dude.
Yeah.
I was thinking...
Yeah.
Spider-Man, he's on my list.
Yep.
He's his, not basic, but like as the main, he is the hero.
Yeah. Yeah, and his like the whole reason and just like how he becomes his hero and his experiences, how they're all tragic, like his wholesomeness leads to his like power. It's
With
like
great
he's
power comes great responsibility. That's
Right.
like a life-changing, real-life
It's a great
quote.
one. Yeah, Spider-Man's great. Personally, Andrew Garfield was always my favorite.
Yeah.
Before No Way Home, okay, let me for the record, because all these people hopped on. But
Yeah, I agree.
Either way,
Before.
I liked
Also,
him.
like, in every single adaptation of Spider-Man,
Yeah.
it's never bad, you know? It's like, oh,
Sure.
that's good, but these are better, but there's no bad ones.
No. Yeah.
It's just,
Yep.
he's always great.
I mean, even Miles, right? Like Across the Spider-Verse.
Dude,
Yeah.
like I'm saying, there's
there's
no bad adaptation because when
Nope.
you start with Spider-Man, it's gonna be good.
yeah.
It could always get better, but it does not get worse.
Yeah. There has yet to be. I mean, and the Spider-Man. I mean, this doesn't matter, but like even the villains, you know, his rogues gallery is arguably as popular or as famous as Batman's.
Dude,
Like,
yeah.
it's
everybody knows Doc Ock. Everybody knows
Doc Ock.
Venom.
Everyone's Venom. Yeah. There's Mysterio's a good
Goblin.
one. Goblin.
Right, Green
yeah.
Goblin.
Yeah. So yeah, I think his whole thing of like just he's a kid. He's probably the realest superhero that people can find relatable because he's a kid. And he, if done well, like when you see, it's like he figures out how to deal with these powers in the way that probably most
He's
people would.
thrust into it.
Yeah.
He just has to learn how to swim.
And because of his like good heart, that's what a lot of people can probably relate to too. Is like he just wants to help people, but then that ends up kind of shafting
Very
him.
self-sacrificial too, which is like
That's why
classic
he's
hero.
That's why he's on there.
You gotta.
Obi-Wan's pretty great.
I had to
He's
go with Obi-Wan.
really great.
For the entire time that he's always been there, he's been top tier. He goes through so much. I would say in all of Star Wars, if there is like someone who would represent the best of the Jedi Order, it's Obi-Wan.
Really?
I would have to say so. With all the stuff he's gone through, with all the bad that's happened to him, that he's never given up.
Yeah.
That he continuously keeps spirits high and doesn't, like, dude, if anyone's going to fall to the dark side because of, like, hate, anger, and all that, it should be him. But he doesn't.
No. He's lost a lot. Man, see, because that I feel like you could do a whole list of just Star Wars characters for this too.
I know, but I think he's, like, the
Obi-Wan.
poster boy for it. Because Luke, they butchered him at the end. But if you don't even want to count that...
Hold on. Luke's on my list.
Luke's on your list?
Yeah, we'll get there.
You're excluding the sequels?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But even with Luke, I would have to say Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan trained him, Ghost Obi-Wan. Force Ghost.
I mean, this is going to get too lore-y, but I would say...
Sacrifice himself for Luke. There's just so much.
He was also... His loyalty to the council did end up kind of biting him a little bit, though. Because, I would say one of the best exemplars of a Jedi is Kanan Jarrus from Rebels, which I don't think you watched Rebels.
No.
But if you watched it and you knew about him, he was, arguably, in my opinion, probably the most perfect balance of a Jedi of, being one with the Force and the Jedi and also still not neglecting your emotions and, love. He had that all together.
Yeah.
To the point that Qui-Gon Jinn, I would say, is a better Jedi than Obi-Wan.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
We don't get enough of him to even, fully embrace. That's why I think Obi-Wan's the best. We see him early to old. We get a whole landscape and all of the trials, especially in the Clone Wars, where he watches Sabine get killed in front of him.
Absolutely.
There's that whole incredible back and forth between him and Darth Maul.
Yep.
That is legendary.
To be clear, Obi-Wan is my favorite Jedi.
Yeah.
I'm just devil's advocate for both. Okay, next one. 3, 2, 1. Superman. Robin Hood. Yeah, you know what? Robin Hood entered my peripheral briefly, but
I love Robin Hood. I'm gonna get a Robin Hood tattoo eventually because it was one of the earliest stories that I remember being like, damn, that's
a classic
crazy,
one, right?
It's a classic.
Steal from the rich, give to the poor.
Everyone gets that wrong, actually.
I know. I'm just
steal
saying.
from the government and give it back to the people.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
The government are rich,
right? Because they were the government. It wasn't just steal from the rich.
Sure.
No. The government was the rich because they were ill. They were doing ill. They were overtaxing the people.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'd have to say Robin Hood. There's this. I haven't seen the new movies. That one with what's his name?
Yeah, you see the live action one?
I have not seen the new.
There was a live action one.
Yeah, with
years ago.
Jamie Foxx and.
Yes.
What's his the. Eagleton, whatever the hell that is.
Taron Egerton.
That guy.
He's a great actor, though.
Didn't watch that. He's a great actor. Didn't watch that.
Yeah.
Read some of the old books. And then there's this old show that was on the BBC a while ago.
Nice.
Very low budget. Incredible, storytelling.
What about the classic Disney Robin Hood, man?
That one's a great
It's awesome.
Also incredible.
So, what's the one defining thing to you that makes him on your list, though? Why?
Just his selflessness and willingness to give it all up. Because he was one of the rich. He was a lord. He was Robin of Locksley, right? But then when he came back from the Crusades, depending on which story you're reading, he had been gone for so long that everything changed. And he's like, oh, I don't like how this is going. So he tried to make a change from the inside. They kicked him out. And he's like, well, then I'm going to make a change from the outside. He's also just a badass. Let's be honest.
Okay. Robin Hood, yeah.
Robin
All right.
Hood.
That's not bad. Not bad. Superman.
Classic.
Superman, I mean, as much of a most stereotypical superhero there ever is and ever will be.
Why is he the stereotypical
exactly?
Why is he?
There's a reason that character is just known as the superhero, man. He's such a. People fail to realize though, because nowadays you have all these characters that are he's like Superman. Oh, that's an evil Superman.
You got Homelander.
But they're only basing those things on the powers. They don't understand
the character.
The story. Superman's whole story, man, is so just.
he's more man than super.
Beautifully written, which is the most ironic part because he's not a man.
Exactly.
He's a Kryptonian.
But that's the
But
thing.
he learns to become a man because he loves this planet.
Also, he was raised as a man. He didn't discover his powers, and then he did discover his powers. Yep. But then they had to bring him back and be like, dude, it doesn't matter. You are still one of us. It's incredible.
And as much, I know it gets hate because of certain direction choices, but Man of Steel,
I thought it was pretty good.
It's one of my top 5 superhero movies ever.
Man of Steel?
Yeah. I just love it. I mean, besides the perfect casting, of course, of Henry Cavill, which was great. There were a lot of parts about it that were just like Hans Zimmer's score was phenomenal, but that we're not talking about movies. Great character.
Yeah.
He deserves to be up here. I feel like it's an easy nomination.
I do think he got a little washed down in society where we need to remind everyone the heart of Superman, which hopefully that's what they're doing, right?
Yeah,
With
David Cornsweet, the new Superman. I have hope. James Gunn has talked about what his perception of Superman is, and it seems pretty in line with what it actually is.
And what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, symbol of hope, right?
Exactly.
Okay, next one. 3, 2, 1. Luke Skywalker.
Okay, you first, because we were talking about Star Wars already.
So,
this is interesting.
Luke Skywalker, to me, is almost like the Superman of Star Wars. In essence, he is a symbol of hope. Like, that's
true.
Like, especially, I mean, we barely get to touch on it, but even after Return of the Jedi, like when he's in his prime, kind of, in some of the books and comics and like the Battlefront story.
Battlefront, yeah.
Like the story.
Aren't most of them like uncanon now? Didn't they get
they
scrapped?
Are.
That's stupid.
Yeah, they're no longer canon. Which, to George Lucas's credit, he always envisioned that just the movies were canon. That's whatever. I'm just saying though, the character of Luke, man, like that's why I don't like, of course, what they did in 7, 8, 9.
Dude,
it's not so really like the same character.
Mark Hamill doesn't even like it. There's so many interviews where he's just like, I don't even see it as the same character. I have to like, he was talking trash the entire time. It's so funny.
It's fair. I mean, it doesn't feel like the same character.
Because it's not.
It's not. I think neglecting those.
Yeah.
It just like, I mean, he's like.
Yeah.
He's almost like, I mean, he has a heart like Spider-Man too, where it's like, he like, even remember when he's like, I will not fight you, father. Like, he doesn't want to do it.
I recently rewatched.
And there's good in you, I know. Yeah. And like when he holds him at the end, and it's like
he gives himself up. Yeah. And just talks to Darth Vader.
Yes, like he's very like human.
Very.
It's just to me, he has the best aspects of some of the best superheroes, and he's also Star Wars' own superhero.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
If I could put it like that.
Yes. Now, before I go with the pick that I said, since we're still talking about Star Wars, I didn't know where to put Starkiller from like the Force Unleashed games.
He's a villain, man.
Right, but he's also like...
Bro, he killed like thousands of people.
But he also tried to kill Darth Vader and take down the Empire.
Sure, but like, I mean, Darth Maul tried to kill Sidious. Like, they're both villains. But like, you know?
I don't know. I feel like Darth Maul, especially in the Clone Wars, is more of an anti... I don't know what he is, because he's separate from everything.
Yeah, but he's very
villainous.
Much takes part in the dark side. I mean,
True.
Even in the final Clone Wars episode, he's like, the dark side's at its strongest. I can feel it. Like, no, he's still a villain.
Yeah, he's still a villain.
Starkiller's definitely a villain.
Really? You call him a villain even though he's trying to break free.
Yes.
And then he gets trained by a Jedi at one point.
He does. Yeah, he is.
Okay, I would put that, because I would put him as like an anti-hero, but
yeah, I would say villain, but I mean, I don't know, man.
You need to replay those games though. You got to replay those games.
Oh yeah, no, they're great.
Because they're great, and like, really the story's incredible. Yeah. Also, he did voice Maul.
Sure.
The actor.
Sam Witwer.
Yeah, we love him.
He's a legend. Yeah.
All right, but the choice that I said was Guts.
That's a shame.
From Berserk.
Taking a perfectly good spot.
This character, my goodness. I don't know how to explain it to you. You're not open to this at all. But it's like the most... it's so human. Basically, he has a very tragic backstory, very tragic life. But he's satisfied. It's medieval fantasy. He's satisfied just fighting. That's all he's ever known. He's been a mercenary as long as he can remember. Mm-hmm. He finds purpose with people, with his friends. And his life has been nothing but tragedy, and it just continues. Everything he's ever loved is stripped away from him again. But it's a struggle between revenge and moving forward with like strength and power. Every day he has to give up the anger that he has towards the people that have wronged him to choose to do what's right to protect those who are still around, if that makes sense. It's incredible. It's extremely like, it's great. He's one of the best characters I've ever read. And that's like,
That's interesting. Okay.
I'm telling you, I don't know how else to say it if I can't like just spoil everything and tell too much, because if anyone's listening to this, I highly recommend that they read it. Life-changing stuff. Yeah, because it's all about hate, anger, and how he's very human of a character. Okay. And it's about his struggles of just making the right choice and not killing everybody, finding the strength to move on. But trust me, dude, the hatred tries to take over all the time. It's incredible.
Sounds like a little like yapping.
I had to do my best.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to be interested to see who your honorable mentions are, because if I hear one of those that are... You only have one more. That's 3. That was 3 that we've done so far.
Obi-Wan, Robin Hood, Guts. I already counted Spider-Man because you said Spider-Man.
You can still say it though. When we go, whenever you want.
I'll save it for. I'll just say it next.
Next one. 3, 2, 1. Spider-Man. Percy Jackson.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, because he's one of the coolest characters ever. Better than Harry Potter.
I have not read Percy Jackson. I have seen Harry Potter.
My friend.
Harry Potter's mid.
Harry Potter is one of the most overrated franchises I've seen in my life.
I agree.
That's going to be upsetting people.
Not anymore. Recently, I've seen a lot of internet things where everyone's growing up and realizing how many holes are in the story.
Yes, but it has such a ginormous fan base.
About Percy Jackson though.
There's
a new show coming out.
There's a new show coming out. See, I wanted the best for the movies because I like Logan Lerman. Okay, yes, he looks a little old as Percy. Percy's only I think 13 in the books or something. Alexandra Daddario as Annabeth was a wild choice because that's also super old. Anyway, Percy Jackson's character, and I'm saying better than Harry Potter because a lot of times they get compared, and most times people are
magic children,
right? And Harry Potter's better. So here's the thing: I've read the Percy Jackson series, all 5 books. I've reread it probably 10 times.
Damn.
It's probably my favorite. I don't read a lot of fiction, but out of the fiction that I have read, it's easily my favorite.
Okay.
Percy Jackson is the coolest because, in a way, he kind of is this. So you got these kids who are kind of
children of
demigods because they're sons of gods who had kids with humans. But the whole, you could go into the lore and the story, which is also super cool. But his, it's kind of okay, in Harry Potter, you find out your house, right? I guess by the
hat of,
right?
I don't remember what it's called. The hat of
picks, yeah. So in Percy Jackson, if I remember correctly, I think it's at the final dinner. It's Camp Half-Blood. That's where all the people who think that they're demigods go. It's a summer camp. And at the end, a symbol appears above your head, basically your god, your father or your mother, essentially claiming you as their kid.
Interesting.
And it's a big deal because it's a
literal god is claiming it.
Yeah, and that's why some of them feel neglected by their parents because they whatever. And so you have the cabins, which is a mimicry of
the houses,
the pantheon, the 12 gods or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
it's just all their kids hang out.
Yeah. And so everyone's getting claimed and stuff, and Percy isn't getting anything, and they're it's kind of this dang dude, but then a trident appears above his head, and it's wait, that's one of the big 3. That's you got Zeus, Poseidon, and then Ares or Hades. And so he gets so he's Poseidon's son.
Crazy.
And I think if I remember right, it's Poseidon hadn't claimed any kids in X amount of years. It was this big deal. And his whole story is just great because people are rooting against him. It's kind of an underdog thing. And he literally, by the final book, is leading everyone against a battle against like literal titans. Like the Titan who killed some of the gods. Like it's this crazy.
Greek mythology is nuts with the Titans and the gods.
So that to me, it's cool. It infuses Greek, like real Greek mythology, because you have the gods who are actually interacting with these characters, and I think that's cool.
Yes.
Now we can talk about that another time, whatever. But for that, like the character's cool.
With the
he can do cool things too.
I might have to watch.
He has water power.
The new ones.
The new show?
Is it a show?
It's a show. It's on Disney Plus.
I'll
definitely watch it.
I'll watch it.
I would say that the first movie, it's not terrible. Give it some love, okay? The second movie is not good, and that made me sad.
How many are there?
There's only 2.
Oh, okay.
And there was supposed to be a third, and it got canceled because there's 5
second
books.
one sucked so much.
It was so sad because the third book, The Titan's Curse,
great.
Whew, it's such a good one. And then if they had just there's The Last Olympian. I just want to see it live action. That's the final book.
Let's hope that the show gets there.
I hope so. I do.
We'll
hope
see.
So.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So you said Spider-Man.
I said
right?
Spider-Man. We went over that.
Yeah, we talked
Very
about it.
straightforward.
Sure.
I love Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay. Last one. Don't do that.
All right.
Don't do that. You're gonna make me. No, I'm joking. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Matora.
Captain America.
From Bionicle.
Okay.
Matora
Hold on.
From Bionicle.
Now,
one of the original ice Bionicles. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
Maybe.
I'll pull up a picture.
I built a couple, but I was never like into like the.
I recently,
the lore and
probably
all that
within
stuff.
the last 2 years, started getting heavy into the lore.
Okay.
And my goodness, this character, one of the originals.
Mm-hmm.
You remember this guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
If you can. It's gonna be. You're not gonna see it. Yeah, he was one of the original ice Bionicles who made it through, generation and generation, and he, because of the Mask of Life, gave himself up. He killed himself to save the world. He dove into the center of the universe and put on the Mask of Life to basically act as a defibrillator for Matanui, which was the island or the big robot that they were living in. So, yeah, he fought and he led his team for years and years and years, and then eventually the time came where he's like, I have to do this. Dove into the center of the universe, put the mask on,
Such an insane pick.
Crazy.
Like, for top 5 ever, that is a wild pick.
Yeah.
That's insane.
There's so much lore to get into, but like that's one of the main reasons. He just the sacrifice.
Sure, okay.
He wasn't like dying or anything. He was just like, the universe is dying unless I sacrifice myself to start it over.
Yeah. Okay.
Nuts, dude. Nuts. Especially because I didn't know this when I was younger and I read into it. And I was like, this is crazy.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons. Yeah.
Okay. Sacrifice like Captain America.
Captain America's a great character. He was one of my honorable mentions.
Captain America, man. Like I mean, the man, of course, his backstory being a soldier in the World War is just already crazy, and then like
he's a vet.
Experimenting on and then this whole thing of like he's just a little guy and he always wants to help out, and then it's like some more selflessness.
Yeah.
Of course, this is heavily based on the movie representation. Comic character is also very cool. I'll never forget the shot in the theater the first time from Endgame when everyone's dead. He is pretty badly hurt. He steps up, strengthens his shield, which he has like a cut like this big on his arm.
Yeah.
Strengthens his shield, looks up, and he limps down a hill, facing like the entirety of Thanos' army.
He could do it all day. He could do it all day.
Just by himself.
Yeah, he uses the strap of the shield to close the wound on his arm.
Yeah. I mean, come on. This guy, and also never forget, I remember seeing this at a convention, the trailer before the public saw this, when Infinity War was going to come out. I remember the little stinger that they had at the end of the trailer, which really hyped everyone up, was Thanos. It's from the final fight.
Oh,
arrives.
Yeah.
Puts his Infinity Gauntlet with 3 of the stones in, and Captain America holds it back.
Yeah.
And then Thanos, you could tell at first he's just doing it, and then he kind of presses it, and then Captain America still holds it. Come on.
Incredible. One of the
The
best
man is-
things that I've ever heard about Captain America is he has a reverse character arc. He doesn't change with the times.
Yeah.
His character arc is staying true as everything around him changes, which
Yeah.
is so true.
It is.
He's
yeah.
the same character he's always been. He's
Sure.
just been thrown into different situations where he has to make an effort to
Yep.
not change. And that's what makes him so great.
Yeah,
That's why he was chosen. He was just a little guy who was always doing the best, and
Yeah.
now he's
Yeah.
one of the most powerful people in the world, and he's still
But
he's
he's
still
still-
that same kid.
almost Superman-esque.
Almost
with how he stays
Superman-esque.
true to his, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
great, love it.
Incredible character.
Um,
he was one of my
Some honorable
honorable
mentions.
mentions.
Here. I'll just
Yeah.
go through my list here. Indiana Jones.
incredible choice. I forgot about
I might
him.
say is Indiana Jones, James Bond, very cool. Rocky Balboa,
Great choice.
Lightning McQueen,
Also a good
who
choice.
almost made my top 5.
Interesting.
Batman
Interesting. Yeah, Batman, of course.
and John Wick.
Ooh, John Wick's a great choice.
John Wick almost made it too, but I think all the people I picked had denser stories to pick from.
I forgot most of my because I didn't
Okay.
write them down,
Gotcha.
and then by the time that we talked about all this, I forgot most of them.
Okay.
Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead.
Okay.
He's a great one.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen the rest after like season 8. I don't know.
Okay.
It got too much. I'm not keeping up with that.
Sure.
Who else? I don't really remember anyone else off the top
Jack
of my
Sparrow.
head.
It's a good one.
He's a good one, but I don't
Guess
know
he's
if I'd put
more-
him there.
Okay.
I haven't seen those. Ethan Hunt, I gotta say, because I
Ooh.
just recently watched all of the Mission Impossible
you're-
movies,
Okay.
except for the
Talk
new
to
one,
you-
not
talk
the
to
one
you
in
about that
theaters.
after, yeah.
Great though.
Yeah. Oh
Incredible.
yeah. He's great.
Superman would have to be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
He's just great. He's just great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
And that's all. Off
All
the
right.
top of my head.
So, on to villains /
Villains.
bad guys / antagonists, anti-heroes, I guess, whatever. It can be an anti-hero as long as they're
Mostly
typically
evil.
leaning more
Yeah.
evil. Which, speaking of, I actually do have another honorable mention I'll put in here. Okay. First one, and this is such an
We gotta count
obvious
it down.
one. 3, 2, 1.
Darth
Anakin,
Vader.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Like it.
It's you gotta.
And I say Anakin because there's a difference.
Yes.
But at Revenge of the Sith, Anakin turning into Vader, and then of course Vader. I'm gonna group all that in
Yeah.
as a whole.
I mean, let's be honest. Mostly
Yes.
villainous.
Yes,
For the majority of the
course.
time that he was alive, I think.
Yes,
villainous.
and that's what makes it so sad, though,
yeah.
because he's not a villain. The guy under that mask, really at the bottom of his heart, he just has lost everything and everyone. And it's like Spider-Man-esque, where it's like
Similar.
everything he wants to care for these people, and all that does is it ends up he loses them because of it.
Yeah.
Padme, literally the whole reason is because he turned bad, and that's all he wanted, right?
Just to protect her. That's the reason he turned bad.
Like his mom, right? Like it's just so sad. But
it's
he's
a tragedy.
he's the best.
He's incredible.
You could make the case for him being the best villain of all time, and I would not be mad at it.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Like that's a very, very fair choice.
Yeah.
Because not only does he go through that arc, there's still an arc because he
On the way
redeems
out,
himself
at the very end
as he dies
because of Luke.
because of his own son, which is the one person that he can care about, and it works out for him. You see?
He's the one who saved his son. He couldn't save anyone
Exactly.
else. But he did.
But
save
he did
his
save
son.
his son because he knew Luke knew there was something still in there, and that moment
Because Luke saved him.
when Vader looks at him and then looks at Palpatine, and he just says, "You know what? I'm saving my son," and that was that.
It's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good.
And
The
again-
more you look into it, the better it gets.
Of course,
Oh.
and this is also still neglecting 79 because those undo what 1 through 6 did for Anakin's character. So we will not be
Yeah.
connecting those. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Joker. Thanos is next on my list.
Joker was next on my list.
Okay, well then this will be 2 and 3 then.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
that's
Joker,
fair.
as classic, as evil as you can get.
Of course.
There's no denying. He's
I mean,
always entertaining.
I will also mention
I love his obsession too with Batman.
Yes. I will mention, yes, Heath Ledger, of course, everyone says, oh, it's the best portrayal. Always one of the best villains of all time. 100%, no doubt. But I'm also going to put a little note in here, okay? The Joker, as a character,
Yeah, always been.
was one of the best and always will be one of the best. Heath helped elevate that.
Yes.
But
he gave us a different taste.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's still the same
But the
thing.
character as a whole, it's almost like Spider-Man where...
No matter what happens.
I was going to say, it's never been done wrong except Jared Leto.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good Joker.
No, that wasn't even the Joker at that point. That
no.
was the giggler.
The giggler, yeah. I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna hurt you really, really bad. It's like, dude, you're not menacing, man. You look like a weird pimp. I'm not gonna take it. Yes,
Horrific.
He's great. The
Yeah.
Joker character, and it's a weird thing because yes, he is Batman's villain, right? But, and this has been shown in movies and shows, but they know that they can never really live without each other.
Yeah, the Joker has no purpose without Batman.
Right. And like they, that like,
And the Batman can't kill the Joker.
I don't want to kill you.
Yeah.
Like that part, and then in the show, in the animated,
The animated
there's
series, voiced by Mark Hamill, incredible. He does a great job.
Great job. Yeah. I mean, Jack Nicholson played a great Joker.
He did a great Joker.
Joaquin Phoenix did a fantastic
Incredible
Joker. We might see a good Joker in Barry Keoghan in The Batman.
Hopefully.
We never know. Mark Hamill's version. There's been some really good ones.
But yeah, deep
not
in
sure.
the heart, always a great character.
Yeah. And then Thanos. See, here's the thing, right?
Movie Thanos.
So
Because he's so dynamic.
So Thanos, people kind of knew who he was, but of course, the movies just shot him into the public sphere, right?
Yeah.
And the writers for these movies, Marcus and McFeely, shout out, great writers.
Incredible job.
They only wrote quotes for Thanos because everything he said was a bar. Like everything when he talked. And he's a great villain because he's kind of understandable, right?
He's also
he
thinks he's the hero, which
thinks
is
he's
what
right.
makes a great villain.
Of course. And the thing is, right, you can see why he thinks it.
Yeah.
Because he does think he's saving. He thinks he's saving lives, which kind of makes sense. It's just right idea, wrong way to go about it.
And that's why he's so he thinks he's in the right, and he's like, I'm not going to let anyone stop me from doing the right thing, which is, again, what heroes do. That's what Spider-Man does. But he just has a twisted mind to start with.
Yes, genocide is not the right solution.
No. No.
Yeah.
But that's what propels him, and that's what makes him so great.
Yep.
Because he has his reasons. He's not mad.
No.
He never gets angry when people cross him. He's like, I'm disappointed.
The only time I think you really see him pissed is when dude grabs a moon and throws it at Iron Man because he's pissed off and annoyed with these Avengers.
Even when Gamora stabbed him in the back, he just sat her down and he was like,
I'm sorry, little one.
Yeah, and he was remember when he was wait, would he give her soup or something?
Yeah, when
he was
first
just
saved
talking
her.
to her, and he was like,
yeah.
Oh,
No, he's
how it is. He's psychotic.
No, think about when he goes to Earth in Infinity War. Wanda breaks Vision's stone, boom, and then now Thanos can't have it. Then he turns back time, and Wanda just
that's terrifying.
Actually, this was before that, I think. And he walks up and he goes, "I've lost more today than you'll ever know." And he he's trying to relate with her.
Yeah, he's so good.
And then she's that's
what?
And then he turns it, doom, and then gone.
It's incredible.
He's great.
He's great.
He's awesome.
He is awesome.
Okay,
So-
number 4 here. 3, 2, 1. Gore
Griffith.
the God Butcher.
Interesting. I'm saying Griffith.
Go first. Yeah, let's hear it.
Griffith from Berserk. Okay. So the other villains are great villains because they're well written. This villain is also very well written, but one of the villains that I hate the most.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever hated a character. Purposefully. I've never seen a villain written in such a way that I become emotionally angry when I see them.
Sure.
This guy, best way I can describe him, he is someone who, orphan, very beginning, wants power.
L.
Oh, I was confused for a second.
Keep going.
Orphan. I thought you said like L as the name, and I was like, what are you
No,
talking
no.
about?
Keep going.
L as an orphan? That's great. He's always wanted power.
Okay.
So from a young age, he makes it his mission, I'm going to become someone in this world.
Okay.
Also, medieval fantasy. He's a kid. He starts a mercenary group.
Okay.
So him and his buddies go around fighting for money. Because deep down, he has a dream. He wants to be someone. He wants to make something of himself. Because he's a nobody, but he wants to be someone. He's charismatic. He groups all these people together. He's lifting them up. But he's very narcissistic. He's doing it all for himself. He's leading people to their deaths to fulfill his dream. On the front, he's like a kid, 15, 16, 17, leading these people. But he always has like ulterior motives. And just, there, there's an evil within him. He does whatever it takes to make his dream a reality. To where it gets really weird. Like he prostitutes himself out.
Okay.
Because he felt so guilty that some of his young mercenary friends were dying.
Okay.
So he's like, I feel guilty if I don't reach my dream because they died for it. Anyway, so much goes through. He ends up hating the main character, Guts, because of reasons. He, at the end of it, he gets tortured by an opposing kingdom. His men save him. He has lost everything. And it's fantasy, so there's magic. He gives up his soul to the quote-unquote gods. And they're like, okay, well, if you want this, what are you sacrificing? What are you giving up? Because we're not just going to give you this for no reason. So he sacrifices his army, his people, his family, who just spared their lives to save him, are now getting slaughtered in cold blood to make him a deity.
Okay.
And what's the first thing he does as a deity? He goes to our main character, Guts, takes his girl, and rapes her in front of him and makes him watch.
Okay, that's healthy.
He's
interesting.
One of the most hateable characters of all time.
Okay.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, rape bad.
Very bad.
Boo.
Also genocide bad.
Have you?
And he did both of those within like 5 minutes.
You seen that one voice critical?
Yeah.
Is like
sexual assault.
But okay, Gore the God Butcher. He has a compelling story.
I don't know anything about him. I didn't watch Thor: Love and Thunder, and I know that they butchered it anyway.
Pun intended.
Pun intended.
Yeah, they did. Gore the God Butcher. And see, this is where it's actually more, I'm basing this more off the comics, not the movies.
Right.
Because the movie wasn't. Although Christian Bale did kill it as him. They didn't do it
They
right,
just didn't give him anything good to work.
Yes. The character, very simply, he's part of this species on some planet where like they kind of just live in general in bad conditions. Mm-hmm. They're kind of like always, I think, like hungry, thirsty, whatever. But they're it's kind of culty where they still have this mindset where they're like, no, we still need to praise the gods though, because maybe they'll give us like something more, or maybe they'll help us, or maybe this is that. And the way it works in like Marvel's deities, I guess, at least in the comics, is like there are some of these gods who are like assigned to like certain areas, so they like watch over certain planets and stuff like that. So they always pray and pray and pray, but then Gore. Now, let me add this note, because this is essentially just an atheist character who becomes a deity, but I'm just... Gore...
That's so funny.
Yeah, right. Gore becomes... he also has a very tragic backstory, because he has a wife and kids, and they, along the way, die.
Yeah.
And it's out of ways where, like, he can't even help them. He wants to help them. His wife dies first, and then eventually all that's left is, like, his little daughter. And she's they're journeying through the deserts, and people are dying, and eventually she dies, and he can't help her. He can't give her any food or water, and he's like, there's this one panel where he's like curled up with her on the sand, and like she's dead basically. So of course he blames the gods for all this, and everyone's still praising the gods, and he's like, no, like you can't. Why would I praise the gods? Blah, blah, blah. So then they kind of exile him. They're like, you're gone. He's walking through the desert now by himself. He's kind of still, whatever, cursing the gods.
Upset.
And in the very near distance, he sees two gods fighting, like real gods. They're fighting.
Yeah.
And so he walks up, and one of them is like in trouble and asks for his help. And he's like, why would I help you? You never helped our people. Like, are you really a god? Blah, blah, blah. And so he ends up killing, if I remember correctly, the god, both of them, with the Necro sword.
Which is one of their swords, one of the gods' swords.
He takes it, and I mean, what?
I just remembered another great villain and hero combo.
Okay. You can toss in your honorable mentions.
Yeah. I gotta write that down. Keep talking.
So anyway, he kills him, and he kind of makes it his life's purpose, life's mission to, like, kill every god ever. Because he's like, these people are self-serving, they're selfish, they don't help people, they don't do anything. So he makes it his whole mission to basically kill the gods. He even makes the god bomb, which, like, when it goes off, it's going to kill every god. He's just driven by that because of, in spite of, like, what's happened in his past, right? And, you know, he comes across Thor, of course, eventually, and he wants to kill Thor, but then Thor's like, dude, why? And there's this one scene that was pretty impactful, I think, where the Vikings, this is like in the past, the Vikings come to help Thor, and they're all like in this cave, and Gore's like, you guys need to go. He's like, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to kill you. He's like, I want no problem with like humans or anything. He's like, don't you know this guy doesn't care about you? And they're like, yes, he does, whatever. Anyway, so it was just telling, because it was like he didn't even want to maybe hurt these people. But anyway, overall, I think his story is pretty compelling. I really liked it. I think he's a great villain. That's why I made my top 5.
Incredible. Wait, I gotta back it up real quick to go back to the heroes for this honorable mention that I remembered.
Okay.
Cyrus from Infinity Blade, the games. You ever play Infinity Blade?
I've seen gameplay.
Crazy like story. There are these race of people called the Deathless. They can't die. You kill them and they come back.
Okay.
And basically, he used to be a villain.
Okay.
Until eventually somebody created a sword to kill the Deathless, is what they're called. So they kill him. His name was Alisar the Vile. Terrible, terrible leader, genocidal maniac. But the thing is, the sword doesn't kill you.
Okay.
It resets you. So he was reborn, but as just a nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then eventually someone took up the vacuum where Alisar the Vile was, became this ruling thing.
Yeah.
And then one of the people, turns out it was the same guy, Cyrus, just Alisar the Vile, reborn, was like, oh, I'm going to kill the bad guy now. So he goes, tries to kill him, loses. He gets killed. And it becomes this generational battle that, you know, the father would go fight, try to save his country. He would die, and then his son would go and continue on the line. This happened for a generation. Turns out they were all the same dude because he's a deathless. So he'd go die, be reborn as his own son, and continue.
Sure.
Till eventually he kills that guy. There's this huge back and forth. He sacrifices everything to then kill the person who created the deathless. It's an incredible story. Crazy lore for what basically was one of the best iPhone games ever. Anyway.
Okay.
Back to the villains.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so number 5, final one here.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, Homelander.
Enrico Pucci. Great one. Wow. Homelander's a great villain.
Homelander, man, like, and his backstory is also very sad.
It is very sad.
The poor kid was a test subject.
He was stuck in a lab his entire life.
And in spite of that, he became one of the most evil people with weird mommy issues that exist. Like, I want you to jump. Like, that's insane to say to someone.
He was like there to save her, and then she just like annoyed him. And he's like, "All right, well now you're jumping."
Yeah, and she was like, "I don't think I want to commit to it."
Yeah.
Yeah. Phenomenal villain.
Incredible villain.
And you
can understand him because he's a broken person deep down, broken, insecure. He has nobody.
Yes,
never has. So this is all he can do.
And of course, Anthony Starr
does a great job.
Just another level of acting. Like the eyes.
Yeah, when was it
Starlight?
When Starlight, she was like, "Oh, I'll tell them about the flight." He's like, "Do it.
Go ahead.
See
Let's
what
light
happens.
this candle.
Let's light this candle."
Yeah.
Because you'll do that. Everyone will, he's like, I don't need everyone to love me. I want to. But if they don't, I'll take out the White House. And he just starts like, and she's like, "Oh, shoot."
And in
he's
that,
like, I'll just wipe everybody out.
Yeah. And in that exact same scene, he's like, "Let's light this candle." And he's like, because if you do, he's like, "Well, I'll have nothing to lose."
Exactly.
Like,
Dude. So good.
You're crazy, bro.
So
that's my pick for lots of reasons.
My pick was Enrico Pucci from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
This is a tough one.
Yeah, he's one of those characters who also has like this self-righteousness. He's a priest.
Okay.
And because of the fate system in this world, he wants to obtain something which he sees as heaven. And how he does that is this long, convoluted, I guess you could call it a spell if you don't know the lore, to give himself a power to speed up time. Because in his mind, with this story of fate, the only way to achieve true happiness or true heaven is to know your own fate and accept it. So the world we live in now is faulty because people aren't willing to accept their fate. But let's say you knew everything that was going to happen in your life already. You just knew it. And there was nothing you could do about it. If you accepted that, that's when you would be truly happy. Doesn't make sense for all people, but that's what his...
It's like stoicism.
Exactly. And he took that to the logical extreme. So what he was going to do is obtain this power that would allow him to speed up time to the point where the universe ends and restarts. That way all of the living people would, without knowing, live their entire lives to the end of time and then be brought back to another universe in which they are placed back into it, but having already lived everything, so deep down they know everything. Terrifying person.
Okay.
When there are scenes where people are just standing and the sun starts going zoom, zoom,
Yeah.
just day, night, day. It would be so terrifying to be in that position.
Okay.
And he's like stoicism. So he's got this sort of self-righteousness about him. He's like, I'm just trying to achieve heaven. This will be better for everybody. Psycho. Beyond psychos.
Yeah, okay. Interesting choices. Okay. All right, I also wrote some honorable mentions for this too.
What was your... Oh, you did...
Homelander.
Yeah, you did
That was my
Homelander.
fifth.
Incredible.
Yeah. Magneto, specifically the Michael Fassbender version.
He's so good. Almost not a villain.
Almost not.
A villain, but he is.
You know, he has a very dark past. Very good character.
Yes.
Well written. Green Goblin.
Ooh.
I mean, of course, Willem Dafoe is what comes to mind.
But
it's just a great character. General Zod from Man of Steel.
That was a great one.
Absolutely killed it.
Incredible choice.
Great choice.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul, but yeah. The Punisher as more of an anti-hero, but now he's not a good guy. I'm not going to say that.
No.
He isn't. But he can make this list. Now, you haven't watched Game of Thrones, but there's a guy named King Joffrey. And
I've heard that people hate him.
So, him and this next guy, Ramsay Bolton. The way
Bolton.
The way that you...
That sounds so familiar for some reason. You've probably talked about him before.
Yeah. The way that you hate just seeing a character, that's how people feel when they watch these shows and you see these guys.
Yeah.
It's a thing of like I don't even want to watch you. But that gives credit to the actor in my opinion.
Yeah.
Those guys are all great. Those are my honorable mentions, but those guys were all yeah.
My honorable mention was the villain from Infinity Blade because I thought about that. The Worker of Secrets.
Okay.
Incredible villain.
Yeah.
He is basically God, and he just doesn't like how things are going, so he's gonna... Very similar to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the villain. Also
High
an honorable
Evolutionary.
mention.
Yeah.
The High Evolutionary.
Yeah.
Incredibly done. Very similar character to that. He was like, I'm just gonna wipe the Earth clean and start over. Great character. Now that I think about it, very similar to the High Evolutionary.
Okay.
Voiced by the same guy who played the Steward of Gondor in Lord of the Rings. Remember the guy who lights himself on fire and runs off the tall building?
Yeah.
He's the guy who plays
Same
the Worker
guy.
of Secrets. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it.
What an
Top five.
incredible list.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's all canon now. In the same way that Brad Pitt's like the best actor of all time.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure this is like
Yeah.
canonical. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe next week we'll do top 5 best countries.